Hi, my name is Joe Bartolomeo. I'm an Oregon workers' compensation lawyer. I have offices in Hillsboro, Oregon and Astoria, Oregon, and I represent injured workers in front of the Oregon Workers' Compensation Board. In today's video, I'm going to talk about certain issues surrounding changing your doctor on an Oregon workers' compensation claim, and I'm also going to get into some other issues that surround treatment, who you can treat with, when you can treat with them, that kind of thing. And I made myself a little cheat sheet because what I did was I went through some of the rules and I can hit on certain topics that surround the issue of treating with certain doctors in Oregon. So let's get started with whether and when and how much you can change or how many times you can change your attending physician in Oregon. Okay, so I put on my glasses, and that's so that I can look at my sheet and talk about how many times you can change your attending physician in Oregon. But I think what we need to first talk about is what an attending physician is. Now, like everything else in Oregon workers' compensation, it's complicated. And the other disclaimer I'll give is that the rules are always changing, the law is always changing in workers' compensation. So if you want to check out other resources, you can contact us on the website. I'll leave a link below. You can also order some of the guides that we offer. We offer a book or booklet that talks about Oregon workers' compensation. It's kind of an overview of all of the issues in comp. Also, I have specific guides about what happens after a claim is initially filed and also settlement of your comp claim. So you can check out those guides. But in this part of the video, we're talking about how many times you can change your doctor. Now, you can change your doctor twice. That's the general rule. And the way you do that is with an 827, or we call it an 827 form. You fill that out and you can change your attending physician. Now, there are certain changes of doctors that don't count, and that generally applies to situations that are beyond your control. I have a case in the office right now where my client's doctor retired. That doesn't count. It's not fair to my client that their doctor retired. They shouldn't have to fill out a change of physician form. But you can change your doctor a couple of times without any approval from the workers' comp carrier. After that, you have to get approval from the workers' comp carrier. And if they don't approve the change of physician, you can go to the state of Oregon and explain why you want your physician to be changed. The other issue that comes up is what kind of doctor you can have. And let's save that for the next part of the video. We'll talk about the different kinds of doctors they can have as your attending physician. All right, so this part of the video talks about what kind of doctor or physician or healthcare provider can be your attending physician. Now, the attending physician, I've been talking about that throughout this video. That's a pretty legally, it is a legal term. The attending physician is the physician that is directing the care of your workers' compensation claim. And generally speaking, that doctor has to be a medical doctor, an MD. It can be a podiatrist. It can be, let me check my notes. It can be a osteopath. It can be an oral surgeon if you have an injury that involves oral surgery or injury to your dentition or your mouth or your jaw. Those are doctors or healthcare providers that can be attending physicians all the way through. And they're called type A attending physicians. And then the other kind of attending physician is the type B attending physician. That can be a naturopath or a chiropractor or a nurse practitioner. And there are time limits on how long those kinds of physicians can be your attending physician. And there are also limits on what they can do in terms of authorizing your time loss or validating or endorsing permanent partial disability findings, which have to do with the permanent partial disability benefit that is processed when your claim is closed. I have other videos that talk about that you can check out, and I have the guides that I mentioned earlier that talk about the permanent partial disability benefit and how that's involved. Now, sometimes for example, if the nurse practitioner that is treating you is working in a team environment in the same clinic with a medical doctor, that may be okay under the rules. The rules spell out when that's appropriate and when that's approved. But the other kinds of physicians or providers that are called type B have limits on how long they can treat, how much they can authorize in terms of wage replacement benefits, keeping you off work, and whether they can endorse permanent partial disability findings. So you have to pay close attention to that, because especially with time loss benefits, because what you don't want is a situation where you are disabled from your job, but the right doctor didn't authorize you to be off work and didn't authorize your time loss. So that's something to pay close attention to. So let's talk a little bit at the end of this video. We'll talk about out-of-state doctors and also managed care organization doctors. Okay, so in my notes I have a couple of more points to cover. One of those is out-of-state doctors. Now, I have a lot of clients who live in Washington but work for an Oregon insured employer, and they may get their medical care in Vancouver or Longview or Ilwaco for my folks that live out on the coast. So you are permitted to treat with an out-of-state doctor, but your insurance company has to approve that generally. And if they don't, there is always an appeal right that you have, as with any other denial or underpayment of benefits in Oregon workers' compensation. The other issue involves managed care organizations, and I probably will and should make a video that talks specifically about managed care organization doctors. But if you have a claim filed in Oregon, you may get a notice from the insurance company that you have to treat with a doctor that's enrolled in a managed care organization. And the unfortunate part of that is that it adds a whole separate layer of bureaucracy to getting medical care. And it may create a major challenge getting a doctor that's within the group that is also willing to provide you medical care. I've had some real nightmare scenarios of clients trying to get an MCO, managed care organization doctor, to take on their case. A managed care organization is like an it's like an HMO. And what it is it's an organization where doctors enroll, and there are treatment protocols and guidelines involved, and the doctor that's part of the MCO has to provide treatment under the criteria in the MCO contract. My experience with MCOs is that their medical directors or medical staff will sometimes pressure to the point of even bullying an attending doctor to find a condition not compensable or to shut down a client's claim by declaring them medically stationary, or they may be pretty aggressive about authorizing certain kinds of care like imaging studies or physical therapy. Imaging studies will often reveal injuries that require surgery, and an MCO is better served by not having an imaging study done, because then they won't have to pay for a surgery, because there will be no discovery of the tear or damaged joint structure like a shoulder or a knee. Now that's just my opinion, but it's based on my experience working with injured workers for many, many years. So MCOs, I don't like them. There's a move, it's very slow on the state workers' compensation division level to reform the MCO system, but it's moving very slowly. So when you're in an MCO, the bottom line is that you are going to face, potentially, are going to face some real serious challenges if you're looking to change from one doctor or to another, or if you move out of state. One of the options that you do have in the MCO system is to get what's called a come-along provider. And a come-along as a provider is a medical provider that is not a member of the MCO, but they come along into the case and they agree to abide by the contractual limitations in terms of the MCO contract. So that is an option if you're really desperate to find a doctor to take on your case when the insurance company has enrolled you in an MCO. So those are a few of the features, challenges, rules, limitations, whatever you want to call it, in either changing your doctor or getting a doctor to take care of you when you have an on-the-job injury in Oregon. I hope this video was helpful. If you have questions, you can contact us on the website. You can call us. You can check out our consumer guides. They don't cost anything. We don't sell your information or anything like that. So check out those guides. They are helpful. They do provide some good information. They're based on the questions that I most frequently get when somebody calls or contacts me to talk about an on-the-job injury claim in Oregon. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this video helps. Take care.